Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Search, Deploy, Commit. I'm here today with TableTrivia, one of the co-leaders of Fifth Column Confederation, and a top player, a tournament winner, and really just all around great part of Warzone. And I should also mention historian, right? I think that's fair to say, right? TableTrivia.
Yeah, I mean, I would debate the top player part of that, but I'm involved in the community.
You've definitely won some tournaments. I think that's worth. I can say that. Well, thank you for being on the podcast with me and talking. Obviously, as you've heard some of our episodes, I do like to try and start in the beginning. Asking about how you got connected because I still think it's really fun to hear about all these things that players like
Mhm.
to share their story a little bit. So tell me, how did you find out about Warzone? Give us a little introduction.
So, I was at school when I first started playing Warzone in 2014. Um, and for me, all of my group of friends had it. I don't know how they found it. And I was actually a bit of a late joiner, but there was about a dozen of us that all had Warzone accounts. We pretty much didn't
Nice.
play with anyone except each other. We just played Diplos together and big FFAs, and so for a while I only ever played with them. Um, then eventually they started dropping off the game a bit, but I stuck with it. I played more 1v1s, and then in 2018, as my activity was probably actually dropping off, really, I
Okay.
met Aura Guardian, and he brought me into the community, and then I've been playing more since.
Wow. So it was just a bunch of friends were just all playing it, like around, like in your area, like at school, and they fell off,
Yeah,
but here you are, still going. I think that's pretty cool.
yeah.
The
I mean, on
the
my sorry, I was going
What
to say
did
on
you
my
guys
profile.
play?
Huh?
Well, I was just gonna ask, what did you guys start playing when you like? Were you doing like Diplo games? Were you doing just straight up strategy games? Were you guys working as like in team games, or what? What did you end up doing when you first started playing with your friends?
Oh, it was all Diplo games, really.
Oh, okay,
We, I think that's why my friends originally got into it, and that's how I got into it. Was the fact that
hmm.
we could have these big games that would rage for months, and
Yeah,
at school we could make alliances and make plans, and then we'd do our turns, and it was a really good atmosphere for doing that.
hmm. Oh, I bet. Yeah, all kinds of fun to be had at that age, right? Uh,
Hmm.
Tell me, obviously, staying sort of on this subject of the beginning, I have to ask about your tagline. It says, "As silent as a ninja in the bath." Please inform us of this tagline. Is this something that you picked up from the game, or just something that I'm not catching on to?
Um, I this is an old one. It's been on my profile since I was, since I first joined. Really, it
Love it.
means nothing of particular note. Other than my only thought was ninjas are known for being stealthy. So I was
Sure.
wondering whether a ninja in the bath would still be equally as stealthy as they usually are, or whether they would use that time to let out some steam. And
That's great. Yeah, that's really funny. Interesting thought, right? What do they actually do? That's great. So, obviously going from there, you said you met Aurora Guardian and they kind of brought you into, I'm assuming what is your clan now, Fifth Column Confederation or FCC. Tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about that and kind of your involvement when it got started there, or even, obviously if it started prior to yourself.
Um, okay, so Aura is a very well known community player, retired
Hmm.
relatively recently. But Aura had been running the clan for a long time, but it didn't. Aura didn't found the clan.
Okay.
That's it's a slightly longer story, but FCC has been around since
Oh, okay.
2006, which is older
Oh,
than
wow.
Warzone, older than Warlight. It started on a different game.
Wow.
It passed through a few
Wow.
different hands. Aura had it for quite a while, and in 2018, um, there some of the players that were in FCC at the time was some top players. There was a bit of a falling
Hmm.
out. Aura kicked a load of people, and it ended up having to
Hmm.
rebuild the clan. So I wasn't a very good player at that time, but Aura was just recruiting off
Okay.
people who were on the ladders, and he
Hmm.
invited me to a training. He invited me to a game. I lost, but he gave me some tips. Invited
Sure.
me to Discord. I got talking, and met all these cool people, and that seems to be the common thread with a lot of people who are in the community. They get
Yeah.
invited to a game, get invited
You
to
just get
Discord.
connected somehow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And obviously, your clan has, been around. What were they, what game did they start in? Do you know, before Warzone or Warlight even started? What were they playing as a group, or what were they doing?
So there was this game called, I'm forgetting the name of it. It was basically an online browser game where you built up
Okay.
a city and you uh, maybe I'll have to tell you later if it comes to mind. But
That's okay. So they got started in something completely outside of Warzone. That's really interesting. And I guess,
yeah.
Aurora Guardian, I haven't had a chance to connect with them, but what was something that really stuck out to you when you connected, and maybe even learned in that first game that you played? Or what is it, something maybe even in that same breath that is unique, or that FCC tries to stand out and be different compared to the other clans?
Um, so in that first game I had with Aura, he completely beat the hell out of me, and afterwards he turned up on the other side of the map where I had all my income, and he just punched straight through. And I was like, "How did you know I was there?" And he said, "Well, that's easy. I just counted your income." And that
Mm,
blew my mind at that point. I was a bad player. I never even considered
right.
the idea of seeing how many deploys they have, and which
Sure.
bonuses they do have, so you can deduct which bonuses they might have or probably have.
Hmm.
And he just went for them, and I was there obviously, and he got me.
Wow.
So he opened my eyes to a whole new side of Warzone, I think.
Sure. Right. That whole deeper level of chess. And obviously I'm literally just sort of, I feel like I'm starting to understand the strategic side of Warzone, and probably that same way when you had that first game with Aura. And I think, obviously, FCC, you guys just recently won, one of the clan leagues. Congratulations on that, fairly recently. What is
Yes,
it
yeah.
about you guys? Obviously, you have a lot of good players, uh, very strategic focused. But maybe, like, as a statement, what does FCC stand for as a clan?
Hmm. Well, FCC has definitely had a lot of ups and downs, and since winning that last clan league, we've also had ups and downs. Uh,
Hmm.
a lot of our we've had some of our players, including our previous leader Zeno, moved over to Blitz. Just
Hmm.
old friendships through Discord. People have known each other for a
Sure.
long time. Um, FCC is always, we take our strategic game quite seriously. We like to, like to be involved in clan league, and more recently clan
Right.
wars, and trying to get involved in the strategic stuff. But we also want to do some diplos and some more fun games, and
Yeah.
so
I
it's
noticed
about the
that you
game.
guys Right. And I noticed you guys, you sort of have your own, additional Discord, and I think you guys are really active on there, which I think is great. As a clan, I think that's important to, keep everybody involved and have something going on that everybody can interact with. So I think that's really cool. The uh,
Hmm.
the logo, how did you guys come up with that specifically? I'm really intrigued by obviously all the things that are on that. Is that something that Aura came up with, or was that even older?
No, the logo, so the name, the logo, that things like that, they are actually all original
Yeah.
2006 pieces. So the
Wow.
group that originally founded this clan, they met.
Hmm.
There's a website called Protest Warrior, I think now defunct, but it's a
Okay.
forum website that was like for right wing, not right, politically right thought
Okay.
and protest. So they originally founded the clan and the name as a collection of people who
Wow.
followed generally American conservative
Sure.
political leanings. That as people came and went, that the clan no longer has any political affiliation at all. But that is where the
Right.
original fifth column comes from, and
Interesting. And that's what's so interesting about that is like you have such history that it's a part of who you guys are, even though it's not, anything political at all to your group. It's like a cool piece of history that you've, kept around. I think that's pretty interesting.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. So
Tell
the
me,
logo, the
I
V is the
know
five.
some clans are recruiting. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it's just the logo, the V is uh, obviously the Latin five, and there's five. If you look at our full logo, it has the five words, the five ideals of the clan: strength, honor. If I can remember the other ones, not making
Yeah,
a good showing here.
unity, growth, liberty. No, that's okay. I mean, I think
Bingo.
it's really a cool logo, and obviously, I think just as a whole, I think something even just from it shows your history, right? I think that's pretty cool. Uh,
Yeah.
I know some clans are recruiting and some aren't. Are you guys actively recruiting? And if you are, is there a certain type of player that you're looking for?
We are recruiting. We're always recruiting. We because it's an
Okay,
old clan, we don't have the 40 member limit, so we'll take as many people as
gotcha.
are want to come, and as long as they
Wow,
join in the community, that they talk, they play, they're welcome.
gotcha. That's awesome. The and I know you claim as group historian. And I think that's really great. Do you enjoy, you know, acting as a historian in other aspects, even outside of Warzone? Is that something that you enjoy, doing,
Um, I
even
see.
just
I
from
wouldn't.
maybe even a clan league perspective?
Yeah, see, I wouldn't usually refer to myself as like a history guy, but internet
Mm,
history really interests me. So in a game like this, clans of there's so many old clans out there that were once really
yeah,
top level clans, and then players move around. And Clan Wars is a great example of
right.
immortalizing which clans were the best at certain times and things. So
Hmm. Yeah, it's been really interesting to go back and kind of look through that. What are maybe some things that, you think that the clans could expand out and do maybe even beyond what they're already doing? And I think, maybe that's a tough question because it might already seem like with Clan League and everything else that clans do, like Clan Wars, it probably already feels like a lot. But is there any ideas that you would have personally for your clan that you think would be cool to do outside of your existing activities?
sorry, is that my clan or clans in general?
Oh, your clan as well as maybe other clans, to sort of add to that history and uniqueness of each group, just as a general question.
Well, I think as clans on Warzone, it's our kind of like it's our community objective to
Mm.
get as many people into the community as possible. There's thousands of people who go to warzone.com, play some quick match games, they like the game, whatever. But it's about bringing those people into the community. And clans, I think, are the best place way to do this. You know, through clans, you can bring people in, and each clan can
Mm.
then hold their own internal tournaments and events. But then you can also
Yeah.
collaborate across clans. So, especially like collaborating across clans is something that I'd like to see FCC do at some point.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good, perspective is that these communities that are being created in the clans are a great way to help bring new players in and help them connect and be better assimilated, right? I think that's a really good
Mm-hmm.
point. What maybe more game specific, what is something that like a new player, maybe somebody that's looking to join a clan or even just game related, what is a tip that you would like to share, or something maybe you even learned that stands out to you over time? Obviously, you gave that story previously with Aurora, but um, any tips for new players in any aspect of the game?
Um, it, okay, if there's a player out there that is listening to your podcast but doesn't really know the community that well, or maybe because my bubble of the community is more the strategy community, so maybe they're more of a map maker player, maybe they're more of a
Sure.
single player. I think it's just talking to people, reaching out. You can learn so much about all the aspects of this game, and
Hmm. Yeah.
you know, join games, join tournaments, speak in the chat, ask about people's clans, and if Discord is a great place. If you love the game, Discord is your best friend. There are so many Warzone servers.
Yeah.
You can just meet so many different people.
Yeah, get connected with I mean, Warzone Discord, I think, is pretty active. There's a lot of good, great people on there, great mods. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good way to point new players, is to get connected with the Discord servers that are out there. Like your server as well, I think, is really well informed. You guys are always running some kind of tournament or something along those lines. I think that's great. The other thing that I noted when I was kind of looking at your profile is you just have a long list of all of these different players. Um, even ones that maybe aren't playing anymore. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
MGO, Mr. Troldemort, Knight, I Rise, You Fall. Uh, even if I look back, some of these other players, what do you feel, when you look at some of these names that, or even listen to some of the names that I've just said, do you wish that some of them would come back, or is there any fond memories that you have that you'd like to share? I think something that I want to do is just help people have an opportunity to share some of the stories that really help them connect with Warzone. So if there's anything from any of these people that really stands out to you, we'd love to hear that.
Yes. So you're referring to the little section on my bottom of my profile where I put the names of the people who
Yes.
they've made my time on Warzone good. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Actually, a few of
Yeah.
those people that
There's
you,
so many.
a few
You
of,
have so many people listed there.
yeah, I just wanted to make a little dedication to the people mainly those people I chatted to on Discord a lot. Um, and
Mm.
a lot of them, some of them are retired, some of them aren't retired, but uh, MGO is in Blitz now. We used to be in FCC together. He's in Blitz. I would
Mm.
still chat to him on Discord. I don't chat in the Blitz Discord, so I won't chat to him specifically anymore. But
Sure.
it's people I count as my Warzone friends. And
Mm-hmm.
I think they've all probably taught me something, or I've been involved in tournaments with them. Maybe laddered with some of them or whatever, they've all just been people who've just they're the reason that I've kind of come back to Warzone.
Yeah. It's the connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a weird situation? I mean, obviously some of these names, and you even brought it up, just now and then before. How competitive is it between clans in Clan League and Clan Wars? I mean, I know Clan Wars isn't as much as Clan League, but like to the point where some of these maybe once friendships are competitive enemies now, right? What is the competitive side of things where maybe you wouldn't talk to some of these people? Is that is
No,
that is that a real thing, or is everybody pretty well connected still? Would you say?
it's not like we're in different clans. You're my enemy now. No, not at all. I think uh, most friendships in Warzone are probably based around clan, but that's just due to
Okay.
a lot of clans have their own Discord and things like that. But so many, I definitely
Mm,
know so many people who are, they team up on the 2v2 ladder with people, or 3v3 ladder with people from different clans, because you
mm,
still know each other, you still talk to each other on public servers and in games and things.
sure.
And I don't think, yeah, there's definitely a rivalry between clans, but not so much between
Of course.
players.
Okay, gotcha. So, I mean, and maybe even just fill me in a little bit on Clan League. I really do try to stay up on it as somebody that's sort of on the outside looking in. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Tell me about when the season starts, or when I guess the league, you count them by number, starts. Is there at any point, leading up to the end of a season, let's say, that maybe the competitiveness dies down based on where people are ranked? I know I was looking at your score from Clan League 14, and you guys had a pretty significant lead throughout, the progression of the weeks in the season itself. So,
Yeah.
when it gets close to the end, is it like a nail biter finish, or is it sort of a gradual? If somebody's well enough ahead, it's kind of um, a coast to a win. Does that make sense?
It doesn't. I've definitely seen both.
Okay.
It is a real phenomenon that player burnout is real. So after an intense season,
Mm,
sometimes you hit a little bit of a lull in, maybe just on the tail end of the
sure.
league. You hit a bit of a lull with people who are a little bit burnt out, want to lower their game count a little bit.
Hmm.
But I've also seen some really intense, especially like vying
Yeah.
for promotions in the league or vying for not relegating.
Mm,
Sometimes
sure.
you do get down to the wire battles. As for when the league starts,
Hmm.
there's no. It's not like a once annual thing. It's a whenever whenever the community feels it's time for another league, and whenever those people who are volunteering time to set it up, once they
Mm,
set dates depending on their schedules and things, and the league runs very
sure.
naturally as a community project. So,
That's cool. Yeah, and I think, there's lots of tournaments and things and cups and all these other things, and they're all community run typically, which I think is just really, really cool. Uh, you know, and obviously FCC's solidified themselves as one of the main players as a clan, right? You have some pretty great players on there. What would you say has been important as a clan leader? How would you say you help maintain keeping those good players in your clan?
that's a difficult one. I don't. This may be a little bit of a generalization, but I'd say generally the best players in the whole community, um, the best players are quite often very active community people.
Mm,
Uh, People at the top of the 1v1 ladder, for instance, generally tend to
sure.
be quite talkative and things, so they like the community.
Hmm.
I mean, I can't speak. I'm not a ladder topper player.
Sure, sure.
You can try and flatter me by saying I'm a good player, but I'm not the best. But I think good players like community, and just having a good community, an active, you know, keep lots of tournaments
Hmm.
up, lots of talk on Discord, and active community seems to keep people in a clan.
Right.
So.
Keeping them, everybody engaged and creating to that community essentially, right? That makes sense.
Mhm. Oh, and maybe not for the top players, but for the medium level good players,
Hmm.
training is getting good players to train other, not as good
Ah.
players is has been an incredible resource that the FCC has used for quite a while,
Hmm.
as a way to retain talent and grow talent.
Yeah. And I know some, I think what's so cool about Clan League is you guys have these different, rankings, and obviously FCC's in that top. I guess would you call it a division? This shows how poorly I know Clan League, but you guys are in that top bracket, and I know some of the other teams that are in that top bracket. They have sort of farm clans. Do you guys think that you would ever see yourself doing something like that, or do you already have a farm league team or
We
clan rather?
we used to have
Or
that.
do you feel like that works? Okay, gotcha.
So there's a clan called
So
Discovery.
this
Uh,
isn't a sore subject at all that I'm
um,
accidentally touching on here.
no, well, there's a little bit of drama behind which you'd have to dig into the history a bit. But
I see.
Discovery used to be was
Okay.
originally bought as the clan page was bought as a feeder clan for FCC.
FCC.
Um,
Okay.
for a while, the idea was floated of moving the main clan to Discovery and
Mm,
letting FCC go as a name, as a brand, and that was a source of tension in the clan, and it did split the
mm,
management quite a lot, which did
interesting.
eventually actually. I mentioned earlier we lost some players to Blitz, and
Gotcha.
that tension in the clan did actually cause a bit of a split. So,
Gotcha.
and
Gotcha.
at the
Well,
moment,
sorry to touch on a
Discovery.
sore subject, but I think it's interesting, right? I think this kind of history, even the good and the bad, and in some cases it may not be considered bad, but I think this is what makes sort of all this backstory, I think, is interesting for people that maybe are just on the outside looking in. So interesting to
Mhm.
hear these things. I mean, but obviously, I mean, it sounds like with where you guys are placed, this hasn't affected FCC either. I mean, like you said, you're already using your top players and keeping them engaged by training your medium level, more good players to be even better, which I think is great. And obviously, you're
Yeah.
maintaining that spot.
Well, yeah. Don't maybe I'll put a disclaimer in that don't expect us winning Clan League again next season. Uh,
Sure,
but we'll see.
gotcha. No, and I mean,
We'll build the
obviously,
plan.
see what happens, right? Of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking you to see if you're going to win everything right now either. But no, really, really interesting to hear, and obviously, I think sort of jumping off of that question and maybe going more specifically back to the game for yourself, as a player, what in Warzone that you've really maybe enjoyed but you'd like to see improved in the game, whether it be in clans or whether it be in the players themselves or just the game itself. What's something that you'd like to see more of in the future of Warzone?
See, I thought you might ask this question because this is when you're more
I do
reoccurring
like to
ones.
ask
And
this question.
I did have a think about it, and I feel like Warzone has so many aspects to it, and uh, there's a whole map creating community. There's a whole single player
Hmm.
level community. There's a strategy community. There's a Diplo community, and then there's the whole other side of it. There's an idle community.
Hmm.
I personally would like to see. I don't know what. I don't really know exactly how it would be, but maybe some quality of life changes. Maybe something to just bring the game a little bit together. Like
Hmm.
the levels system, I think is a perfect example of this. In the levels, quite a lot of things give you experience, but levels don't
Right.
really mean anything.
Sure.
You unlock settings, through when you start with level one and up to, I think it's maybe 54 or something. By the time you reach 54, you've unlocked every map, every setting, all of that.
Yep. Right.
But I'm definitely not any kind of in-game like play to win. Not nothing. I'm not advocating or anything like that. But maybe just use the systems that are already there to bring the game together a bit more.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, and obviously, I think that's an interesting point in that there are all these different communities, and that level is really just it's almost like an indicator of how long you've maybe even been in the game or focused on
Mm.
even getting up the levels or how long you've played idle, right? I mean, idle's a big points gainer, I think, over time. And you
Mm.
may never have played a regular, game. So I think in some ways it can help bring us together, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Maybe find some other way to help us integrate a little bit more. That's pretty interesting point.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I think
then
that would be nice.
yeah, I think sort of to bring all of this together. My final question, obviously, is really what about Warzone that has stood out to you personally that keeps you coming back? You talked about these initial players when you started playing in school. You guys were doing Diplo games, and then you found this, FCC, and now you're leading this clan, which I think is great. Kudos to you and everything you're doing with the clan. Uh, what is it about all of this story that you have personally that keeps you coming back to Warzone?
Um, when I first started, yeah, you kind of I've already told my story a little bit here. So when I first started, it was about Diplo. It was about playing with my friends, and then that kind of evolved into the fact that I liked the strategy side. So I started playing more strategy games, and then I got introduced to people who could teach me more about strategy games,
Hmm.
and that's definitely developed. Maybe because I've been on here for since 2014, what's kept me coming back has developed over time, and
Hmm.
now it's the community. The fact that there are Warzone streamers, there are people who create interesting, fun games, people who create maps, people who spend so many hours organizing community events like Clan League,
Hmm.
and people who make podcasts about Warzone. There's so many people putting effort into this game to make it an interesting place to be,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's what keeps me back, keeps me coming back.
That's great. And obviously, and I think your story is a really good example of how it's changed for you over time as well. You've sort of,
Mhm.
and obviously I think some of the things that you initially connected on probably still, resound to you today, but you talk about this progression of things that keep coming up, and I think that's a testament to the game and then obviously to, the community itself. And yeah, obviously thank you for being a part of that as a clan leader and everything that entails and the work that goes into that. So thank you for being on the podcast. And if people want to join FCC, how do they get in touch with you, or who should they reach out to?
If you want to be involved with FCC in any way, whether that be you want to join or you just want to hang out in our Discord, the Discord link would be the best place. So it's on my profile. Hopefully,
Okay,
if you could put it in the podcast
and I will
description.
put it in the podcast description. Yep, as well for sure. So that way people can get in touch and just have the link to the Discord. And obviously, if you want to join the clan, reach out to yourself or
Yeah.
I'm assuming anybody in the clan could at least point them to you.
Yeah, just
So,
if you join the Discord, just reach out and say hi. It doesn't non-committal. It can just be whatever you want it to be. So, thank you for having me on.
oh
It's
yeah,
been great.
absolutely. Thank you for joining, and thank you all for listening. Hopefully, we'll join all of you again with another guest. Maybe we'll have you back sometime, Table Trivia. But thank you for listening, and thank you for joining. And we'll see you in the next one.